to INS, the International News Service, your source for the most important weird news from across the globe. With news analyst Kevin Harrison, actor, comedian, and musician Mike Wiebe, and professional commentator Brian Camp. INS, the news you need.
Welcome to the International News Service. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin Harrison, along with...
I'm Brian Camp.
And I'm M-Dub, Mike Wiebe, coming to you straight from the streets, the mean streets of Denton, Texas. In my youth, fought my way up from the bottom. Now look where we're at. We're
Real
at
success
the top.
story. Yeah.
I'm a success story. Let's not forget our producer, the man behind the ones, the man behind the twos. He's also responsible for the threes and several of the fours. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Mark Ryan.
How are you doing, Mark?
He's playing. He's here, folks.
Yeah.
Is he?
He's
I don't know.
Otherwise, we're just recording this with nobody. Like, we're not actually recording this. We're just...
Sorry,
There
my
he
mic
is.
was off.
we thought you were doing a bit.
No,
That's right.
it would be
That's
better
always
if I were.
the guy doing production. You want to not know if his mic's on or off. That's it. That's how professional this operation is.
I used to work with a sound guy who would always, if you weren't talking, he would immediately mute your mic and keep it off till you started talking. And so he wasn't the smartest, and sometimes he would forget.
And his name was Mark Ryan.
And today, that man is our producer.
Right.
Wow. I know that's not true because you're not a live sound guy because you do not have a ponytail.
That's right.
True.
That's right. You don't have a ponytail, and you are friendly at times. I see you as a friendly person.
Yeah, you don't throw a exhausted fit when someone says, could we get one more mic stand out here?
Right. And you're not part of a better podcast that you talk about sometimes.
Yeah. A better podcast that you used to work on.
Right. It was way better than this.
Man, when I was doing Rogan back in the early days, tell you what. You know, I mean, they give Corolla a lot of shit these days for telling the truth or whatever, but it was a good podcast to be on.
Well, you know, because we work in the audio medium, we need to acknowledge the death of the great Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me. I do want to say some words. Let me think I had fuck that guy. Okay, I feel better now.
You know, my folks were, and I guess are, Rush Limbaugh fans, ditto heads, if you will, and they would occasionally say something about him, and I'd go like, and I learned that the best way to be offensive about Rush Limbaugh wasn't to challenge them, was just to talk about how cool I thought he was because he parties with all those pills. I was like, he's a Vicodin head. I love the itch. I mean, he, and clearly he's got his own black market guys. He's got just pounds of them. And then there was also a Viagra thing. And I was like, man, I wonder what he's using all that Viagra for. He's probably getting a bunch. He's getting laid a lot. Don't you think, Mom, with all that Viagra? And it didn't, he loves this country.
He's getting laid a lot. Don't you think, Mom? He's the first guy who figured out that all you had to do was say, "This is what that really means," and then you can say whatever you wanted after that. Just start it with, "Let me tell you what that really means."
Yeah,
That's what I try to do with these stories I tell.
yeah.
I just,
Well,
I want you to know what they really mean, Brian.
Yeah, I felt it was there. I felt there was an attempt to rail Vin in after he got us off track a little bit here. If we could, I think if you're going to tell people we're a service, we need to provide that service. And I think everybody
international
needs that.
service, you might say.
Right. I don't think people in Spain, Portugal,
They don't even know who Rush Limbaugh is.
they don't know who he is.
We did have one stream this week in Spain, actually.
That was it's an expat. It's Jeff. It's my friend Jeff.
That sucks. That guy. So
He fled the country. He fled the country after something went down at the Capitol a few weeks back.
No,
He's doing good over there, though.
Mhm.
Eating paella. All right, let's get to the nukes.
All right. Well, our first story comes to us from Insider,
What is that?
and the title is Insider.com. It's a news website.
Insider.com. Stories that they don't want you to hear on the outside. Get on the inside.
That's the website.
Is
Thank
that
you.
it?
Yeah, that's the one. The title is A Dog Inherited $5 million After the Death of Her Owner. An 8-year-old border collie named Lulu just became one of the richest dogs in the world after she inherited $5 million from deceased Tennessee businessman Bill Doris. Bill Doris had substantial real estate holdings and investments and died unmarried in late 2020 at the age of 84. When Bill Doris traveled for business, he always left Lulu with his friend Martha Burton, who is 88. According to Bill Doris's will, $5 million was placed in a trust for Lulu's care and to provide for all her needs. However, the will was unclear what will happen to the money after Lulu dies. Lulu's caretaker, Martha Burton, said she probably won't manage to spend all $5 million, but she said, quote, "Well, I'd like to try."
And that is not what she sounded like when she said, "Well, I'd like to
God
try."
damn it.
Describe this woman again. I heard you, but describe again her name and her age and where this happened. I'm trying to paint the picture in my brain.
This is Tennessee,
Okay. Yeah.
and her name is Martha Burton. She is 88 years old.
Okay.
She's
88
willing-
years young.
No, yeah, I'm sorry, 88 years young. And so she said, "Well, I'd like to try."
Okay, the guy that died, how old was he when he died?
He was 84.
84.
Okay, well, this is like when I chip in on let's say I'm hanging out with, I don't know, like one of my friends in show business, like another person that does like broadcasting stuff, and we go in together on a big brick of Cialis and Viagra. We
Okay.
go in together, right? Because we've got a trip planned. We are going to Branson, Missouri, where
Sure.
let's just say it's less work there, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
It's less work in Branson.
I feel like you could run into Martha Burton, 88 years old, in Branson, Missouri.
Conceivably,
lucky.
but let's say I'm going in, and my bud RL, let's just call him RL. He fronts for the brick, and I got to pay him back, but I'm paying him back in Venmo, and I'm not gonna write because you have to leave the reason why you're giving someone $627, which is what it came at a half.
Reasonable.
A QP of Cialis. And I'm not gonna write, because we both want to stay hard all weekend while we have a good
Right.
time watching Yakov Smirnoff.
That's right.
And then going back to a room and yakking off and smearing it off. I'm not going to write that in a Venmo because it's public. People can see it. So what do I
Right.
write? I write, oh, here's $627 for taking care of my dog. But he knows what I mean when I say taking care of my dog, I mean jacking off. I mean masturbating.
Oh, okay.
And that's what this money was for. This isn't for dog care. This is for sex. This is for old gross old people sex.
$5 million worth of old people sex.
You heard how fun she is. I mean, when she said, "I don't know how I'm gonna spend it all, but I'm gonna try."
Right.
That's some fun person shit to say. That's
Right. Or it's just settling a 40-year tab for her services. And it just happens to be he rounded up to $5 million. After 40 years, that's probably fair.
Well, I think that she was that good in bed. I don't know. If she's saying stuff at 88 like, "I don't know how I'm going to spend it, but I'm going to try," that leads me to believe she has a coffee mug that says, "You don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps."
That's a fun person. You're right, Mike.
She's
That is a fun person.
She's probably got a couple bobbleheads of a Matlock bobblehead.
Right.
She just sounds like a good fuck. That's all I'm saying. That story got grossed real quick.
Yeah.
On that note, our next story comes to us from NPR,
What's NPR? What is that?
National Public Radio.
Oh, okay.
You might have heard of them.
So you heard this on the radio?
No, I read the story from their website, but I also
hold on,
listened to that.
Whoa, hang on.
Radios aren't on the websites.
Yeah.
Radios don't have websites.
I heard it on the radio.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I heard it.
that makes sense.
That makes
Totally didn't
sense.
go to a website and read the story and then listen to it once. I didn't do that. I just
Listen to the radio. Don't you remember we built this city on
Starship.
NPR? We built this city.
sadly that's better than most of the music they use between their segments on NPR.
It's that little wooden box with the hole in it, and then there's just like these metal tabs sticking out, and you just kind of randomly thumb it, and it goes. Ding, 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 ding,
Isn't that what Scientologists use?
No, that's an e-meter.
Oh, okay.
This is the music that plays behind every time you hear someone that says something like, Chelsea never thought that she was somebody that was meant to be a welder. But then one day a funny thing happened. She inherited welding tools. And then it goes on for an hour about how she makes art that nobody wants to buy or look at.
Right.
This story comes to us from NPR. The title is Mini Brains with the Neanderthal Gene Offer Hints About Human Evolution.
Are you pronouncing it right?
Yes, it's pronounced Neanderthal. It comes from the Neander Valley of Germany.
Yeah, but nobody says that.
At the time they had discovered Neanderthal remains.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
It
Even if it is, I'm not listening.
Yeah, you're
I'm
probably
gonna
right.
fight you that it's correct, but I do not like the way you are saying it. It is starting to make me feel like a Neanderthal, and that I want to just throw a huck a rock.
You're
up a
putting on
boulder,
airs,
up
man.
a cliff.
Have you ever had your DNA tested? You might be part Neanderthal.
I might be 100%. There's a good chance. Once I had my wife cut bangs, I started to really feel like either that I was Neanderthal, Australopithecus, or possibly Sumerian. Whatever Conan is.
Well,
You got that Chaka mystique.
Sumerian.
Sumerian, yeah, Sumerian.
But Sumerians are just human. There's no, that's just like people, 800 years ago or something.
Nuh-uh. I don't want to get all Robert E. Howard on you, but Sumerian was a specific Conan's tribe, his people. I don't know. I can't think. I'm Irish, so I can't think of any other.
Are you thinking about the
clans.
Picts? Because there's Bran Mac Morn. He was a Pict, and he was before Conan. And then there was also Kull the Conqueror, and he was before Conan. Uh-oh.
Picts show up in some Conan stories as well.
No, I'm just reacting in pure awe to your knowledge. I didn't freeze up.
Yeah.
I was just astonished.
Yeah.
And like Sumerian's creator, I want to kill myself.
We'll see if we can help with that story about Neanderthals.
Oh God. Crom. Oh, Crom.
Do you want the story told to you correctly, Brian? Or do you want the story told to you the way that it makes you comfortable?
I want it told in a way that isn't propping up your need to sound superior to everyone who's hearing this.
Yeah.
All right.
Just say Neanderthal.
Researchers in California have started growing human brain organoids, also known as mini brains. These mini brains contain a Neanderthal gene that was added.
God damn
You
it.
asshole.
It was added in order to find clues about how the human brain has evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. This specific gene was chosen because it has changed significantly since Neanderthals roamed the earth, and it's known to play a key role in brain development. While normal mini brains grow into a sphere with a smooth surface, these Neanderthal mini brains have an outermost layer that is uneven. The brains also mature more quickly and remain smaller than mini brains created with modern human genes. A brain, like the Neanderthals, that matures quickly is more capable at birth, but it's less likely to continue developing during childhood. This is the period when modern humans acquire important social skills. One researcher suggested that the lack of the modern human gene may have led to Neanderthals creating looser social networks, noting, quote, if they went foraging for food or hunting, Neanderthals couldn't form groups quite as well to fight common predators. The researcher added, the thing that drives us is not just how did the things happen to develop over time and over evolution, but also how do they go awry and cause neuropsychiatric diseases? If scientists can answer this question, they may be able to develop better treatments for disorders including schizophrenia and autism.
This is the first story we've ever had that I just don't believe. Like I believe that a guy said all this, but I believe that this is the sort of thing where maybe sometimes science is the ultimate grift because it's so unprovable. I feel like my research has grown to show that most dinosaurs tried to wear hats. And then I'll just say some smooth genome round brain inflection over the occipital makes me realize, and it shows strong evidence, that they wanted to wear Stetsons or berets. Probably not your standard ball caps. A T-Rex, for example, would have worn a little bowler. But a smaller animal, a velociraptor, say, they would have worn a little bucket hat.
Well, see, that can be disproven because the Stetson Company didn't exist in the Jurassic period.
They would have wanted it, though. According to my evidence, they would have wanted it.
Well, maybe they wanted it.
The brain wrinkles show that, in humans, cowboys, the smooth brains, they wear Stetsons. I don't want to, you know what? I want to take that back. I don't want to offend any cowboys that listen to us. Y'all are all right with me, partners. Your brains are just as goddamn wrinkly as the smartest Yale callback professor on the goddamn planet.
It sounded like the story, Mike, said that it was the Neanderthal brain that was uneven, and it was the modern brain that grows into a smooth orb, which is counter to what I always thought. So when you called cowboys smooth brains, you were actually paying them quite a compliment.
Well, no, see, they just grow like little orbs. They just take a few brain cells. That's why it's a mini brain. It's not a miniature version of an actual brain.
You're like Kang, right? In the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So it's like the surface of the brain.
Yeah.
So the brain as we know it, like if you ran your hand over the lobes, it would feel smooth. But if you ran your hands over a mini brain of a Neanderthal, it would feel like uneven.
No, these are mini brains that live in a glass shell attached to little metal feet, is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Are you talking about
if you run your hands over anybody's brains, it's going to fuck them up, okay? They're probably not going to be forming any kind of social groups. They're probably just going to be pissing their pants and licking the walls and stuff.
I mean, Ray Liotta ate his own brain and he was fine.
That was just a movie.
That was movie logic.
A movie.
No, he ate his own brain. I saw it. He thought it tasted good.
I mean, that'd be great if you could cure autism and schizophrenia by digging around in the dirt, but that ain't the case, motherfucker. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. I mean, sure.
I just get real mad. I hate archaeologists and I hate paleontologists.
Science for the sake of science is bullshit.
God damn it.
Well, no, this is somebody who did something and then realized that, I have to get money.
I spent 4 years vacationing in Cairo buying rugs and cheap, flowy linen white suits. And now I have to figure out some way to justify it.
And searching for the Ark of the Covenant.
Right.
Well, that's already been found. They found that. They found that.
His waiter drops off, his little tea set, and he grabs him on the shoulder and says, "Hey, real quick, man, how does the phrase mini brain grab you?" And the guy just kind of nods his head. I'm like, you know what? There's my report. Mini brains.
Yeah. Some local that just has to just humor the ugly American there.
Right.
Sounds great, sir.
That's right.
Sure.
Well, and that's what's really giving America a bad name. It's all these rogue scientists from America traveling the world, falsifying research. That's at the core of most of people's negative opinions of the United States.
And I want to be clear. I am pro science, but I think these guys that are
bold statement.
I am pro science.
Oh, okay.
But I think these eggheads that are running around trying to, I think there's a certain fetishization. I hate to call it back, but the alpha brain monkey mindset. They're trying to figure out. I don't want to belabor it because we already talked about that recently.
Do you hate to call it back? Or?
I do.
Okay.
In this case, I do, because listen, and I'm not going to spend any more time on this other than to say this sounds like a beta nerd trying to figure out how to become an alpha male, and it is called Neanderthal.
Yeah, you got to make up stories about mini brains.
But I would have given you points if you said it's Neanderthal because they were very tall.
Mike's only saying that because he's taller than us.
That's right. He is. He's a little taller, by about 1.5 feet, right?
Yeah, he's about a foot and a half taller. Oh, he's beat us at basketball.
You're like 7'8", right, Mike?
Admittedly, I do wear my Kiss Army platform Gene Simmons demon boots most of the time when I'm going out.
That's right. That's right.
So I want to be completely transparent in that. But I think most people notice that, seeing as my Gene Simmons Kiss Army platform demon boots have the LEDs installed in them. And most of the time when I'm going out, I hook up the dry ice contraption. It's in one of the heels, so smoke comes out of its nose right at my toes.
You're late everywhere you go, not for any reason, just you're trying to get that dry ice to work right.
I think that if Paul would respond to some of my letters, he would know about that, and he would do something about that, because Paul's a quality control guy, you know?
Paul Stanley?
Who the fuck else would I be talking about? Are you serious? I said Paul's the quality control guy. Gene's the idea guy. Gene's the artist. Gene's the idea man.
Okay.
Paul's quality control.
Sure.
I'm getting really upset that we're talking about the Kiss Army, because I wanted you guys know I wanted this to be a Kiss Army podcast.
Right. We've just
kind of opening up an old wound.
Right.
I just think it was really a trivial reason that you guys had, that you don't listen to Kiss songs, and that you don't think that the band's good, and that you think that they suck. I just think that's a little...
I think "Lick It Up" is one of the greatest songs ever written. I only like Kiss post makeup.
Yeah,
like that era, because they're back in makeup now, right? Because they've got to hide all the wrinkles.
They've been back in makeup for like 30 years, Brian.
No, not 30 years.
That song "Lick It Up" was written by Peter Criss, because he's the kitty cat man.
He's a kitty cat,
and he said to lick up milk.
Is that what that song's about?
That song's about being a kitty cat.
Okay.
You got the Star Child. You got the Space Ace. You got the Demon. Then you got Kitty Cat Man. I hope the next story is about the Kiss Army.
So I've got some bad news and some good news.
Okay.
The next story is not about the Kiss Army, but I think it's about some science you're going to like.
Okay.
The title, it's from the Daily Record in the UK, and the title is "Annoyed Scot Raising £250,000 to Send Flat Earther into Space to Prove the World is Round."
Wait,
that's a lot of weight. What's the?
How does he lift that much weight? That's insane.
Oh, that's what they call money in England. Instead of dollars, they have pounds.
No, in Scotland, and I know this, they have gold coins, and they swim around in them. They just literally, it's a liquid that they can, liquid-esque, but it's coins, but they swim around in them.
Are you thinking of Scrooge McDuck?
They're a feathered people.
He is Scottish. He is a Scot. He's got 3 nephews.
So just imagine it's 250,000 pounds of gold that he's trying to raise.
Oh, that's a lot of gold.
You know why those nephews are under care of their uncle?
Why is that?
It's because their mother and father died from opioid addiction, and all 3 of those kids were abused pretty bad before they came in there. But I feel like Scrooge McDuck has really done a good job of showing them love, but also showing them discipline, and also showing them the value of money, and also showing them adventure.
Well, and a lot of people don't know this, Mike, but Different Strokes is actually based off of that story. They took away one of the brothers because of it was you got to control the number of storylines, but Mr. Drummond is a direct portrayal of Scrooge McDuck.
Just like most things Scottish, it is problematic.
Take that, Scotland.
Mm-hmm. Do we have any streams in Scotland?
No, we don't have any, and that's going to come up later, that we may never have any streams in Scotland after we get through this story.
Right. Let's try to alienate more people. I think this is
International News Podcast, alienating every country on Earth, one country at a time.
Yeah, I think we've alienated a lot of Americans. For
Yeah,
sure.
well, they don't listen to us, so.
They won't admit it.
I know one guy does.
Who, Jeff?
Yeah, he lives in Spain now, but
Yeah.
still.
That's a callback, right?
He's a callback. Yeah,
That's who had
callback.
our stream this week. Anyway, our story begins with a 37-year-old man from Aberdeen, Scotland. He's so fed up with his friend's flat Earth nonsense that he's determined to send his friend into space. First, he tried contacting billionaires Richard Branson of Virgin Galactic and Elon Musk of SpaceX, but he never got a reply.
What? It's shocking.
I know.
Hey, you know what? Hey, no. Hey, for real though? Same. I've reached out to both of them and I get nothing back. Also, this Scottish guy from Aberdeen, I immediately thought like, oh, he's the Scottish Kurt Cobain. With the lights out, it's less dangerous. We all now entertain us. I feel stupid. Entertain us. An albino. A mosquito. A mosquito. Aye. Smells like King Spurt.
So now the man has launched a GoFundMe to raise money for a 250,000 pound ticket to ride in a Virgin Galactic flight so that his friend can view the Earth from space.
He's got a ticket to ride.
And see that it is not, in fact, flat. He said, and I quote, and I know Brian is going to ask me to do a Scottish accent.
I've already nailed it so
I'm
good.
not
So you
gonna
could just
ask
base
you-
you could base yours off mine.
Okay. He said, I have a couple of friends that are flat earthers, and it drives me crazy. They're total nonsense that they speak. I'm not a scientist by any means, but I am heavy on reading about space, watching the documentaries, sci-fi fan, etc. I have a massive respect for the scientific community, and these guys and the rest of the flat earthers are just wrong. In my opinion, they're totally disrespectful, and they claim they are lying, which is totally wrong. The conspiracy...
Hold on. You're going to get canceled because that's an Irish accent. And,
That was not.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
It wasn't even cartoon Scottish. It was just.
We've got seven streams in the last week in Ireland. I respect the Irish people.
do we really? We got 7 Irish streams?
Yeah. I think we got a
Hell
subscriber
yeah.
or two up there.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
they're good people.
Hardy people, not like these Scots who listen to our fucking podcast.
That's right. It sounded like you watched Braveheart and then said, I'll never be that good. And then did your accent.
Man, old Mel Gibson, he just doesn't even try in that movie, huh?
No, he doesn't. He definitely does what Kevin did.
I could be a king? Is that what you're saying of Scotland?
No, I'm saying that you have just as much commitment to your voice craft as.
I'm busy directing behind the scenes.
Is Mel Gibson a knight? Is he Sir Mel
Probably
Gibson?
not.
Have you heard that tape that he left his like wife where he's like freaking out on his wife? Like it was one of the many things that got him canceled, but he just at one point he screams, "You promised me a blowjob in the hot tub. You said you were going to give me a blowjob in the hot tub."
Okay.
That's actually the one thing we should probably cut.
Did he say it?
No, that's literally what he says.
Well, I think that's news then.
That's
It's
true,
just-
I guess. Is it okay if I think it's hilarious?
Well, yeah, we're not. That's the problem.
I mean, that's
is
the
that we think
problem.
it's funny
Is that
he
I'm
brought
bringing it
that
up because it's definitely abusive. You shouldn't say that. I mean, there's something bad going on, but it is funny to hear Mel Gibson scream,
Well-
"You promised me a blowjob in the jacuzzi."
So, the conspiracy that the world is flat has been gaining momentum in recent years, and a Flat Earth Society page on Facebook has nearly 50,000 members. Most of them believe all space exploration has been faked as part of a conspiracy. Virgin Galactic intended to begin flights to space this year, but they may be delayed due to COVID. Nevertheless, the man hopes to send one of his friends into space in the coming months or years. As of the recording of this podcast, his GoFundMe has raised £250.
No, all right.
That's still a lot of weight, you know.
Yeah,
I'm still at like 220.
Like that's like fireman weight. Like you could qualify to be a fireman if you
Yeah.
can carry that much. I think. So
Yeah.
good for him.
I would say my only advice to that guy is don't skip leg day.
Well, now that he's on the International News Podcast and listening to our millions of listeners all outside of Scotland, maybe they can chip a little money his way.
Everybody give some money to him by Venmoing me at Mike-Wiebe, and I will make sure that he sees. After my administrative fees, I will see that he gets some of that money.
I would like to think that anybody that listens to this and enjoys this is intelligent enough to know that this is entirely bullshit. That like his story is bullshit. It's just a dodge to raise money to do something. Yeah. And the entire Flat Earth Society resurgent is just bullshit. It is.
Yeah. I was worried you were saying the round Earth was bullshit.
No,
you were supporting the Flat Earthers.
I think it's open for debate, to be honest. But I think that the idea that there are 50,000 people who claimed this is.
The Earth is definitely round, but it is hollow, and there are a race of reptilioids living there. Not reptilians, reptilioids. These reptilioids don't have tails. That's reptilian.
Right.
Do I need to explain this again? Speak English, do you?
It is just like so many of the people who are featured in these stories, Kevin. People that woke up one day and thought, there's really not much to me. I know I'll join the Flat Earth Society. And perhaps I will then have something worthwhile to tell people about myself.
Yeah.
It's not actually worthwhile. I just want to point that out.
Well, I don't. I agree. Yeah. I agree completely. I just don't think any. And what to what end? Like, what is NASA's game by claiming that they just sent a rover to Mars? What's the bit? What is NASA getting out of this? What's the conspiracy to continue with this farce, claiming the Earth is round and creating false missions to this false space of spherical orbs where things revolve based on physics and whatnot? What's the gain for NASA to do this?
It's because they wanna get all the good TV shows canceled.
Yeah.
Well,
it's cancel culture. This guy probably did this as a goof, you know? I mean, I, in all reality, started up a GoFundMe when Jeff Bezos stepped down as CEO. I started a GoFundMe to get him his bills and laundry stuff, taking his utility bills and rent paid for, just to help a bro out for a few months. You know?
How much did you raise?
I didn't raise any money at all, but honestly, $0 is barely any less than $250.
So our last story comes to us from People magazine, and the title is Burt Reynolds laid to rest in Hollywood more than 2 years after his death. More than 2 years after his death, Burt Reynolds has been laid to rest in Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Reynolds died on September 6th, 2018 at the age of 82. His body was cremated. His grave is marked with a simple headstone bearing his name, but family members hope to replace it with a bust of Reynolds that will be unveiled on the 3rd anniversary of his death.
What they need to do is get a bust of Lonnie Anderson. Okay, there we go. They had a bitter divorce, if you recall.
Yeah, I think it was in the papers, in the tabloids, right?
Oh boy, it was in all the papers.
I remember it from Inside Edition.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
Is it Hollywood Forever Cemetery or is it Hollywood Forever Cemetery?
Whichever way you want to say it, I think is okay.
Oh, well, you're the master that knows about Neanderthals.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Thollywood Forever Cemetery.
It's Holly Boob Forever Cemetery. Call back.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it just seems kind of schlocky if it's Hollywood Forever Cemetery versus Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Maybe it's. I think it's like kind of a pep rally kind of thing. Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
I bet it's more that. I bet. Here's what I think. I think it's the Hollywood Forever Cemetery because they are trying to distance themselves from the whole poltergeist thing that happened in Southern California. Mm-hmm. They moved the headstones, but they left the bodies. What is happening? They're here.
Wow, it's like watching the movie.
Those are all lines from the movie. What else happened?
Well, it was based on a true story, and it caused
something about the light, something about going into the light or not going into the light.
Go into the light, Caroline. This house is clean. Hey, I'm I'm a scientist here to bust some ghosts. I think he slimed me.
I don't think that's the movie anymore.
That's a big Twinkie.
We're going to have to pause here while Brian cries.
Don't cross the streams.
Just listed them off. I think we need to get back to this story before we stray too far.
Family members watched the burial over Zoom, followed by a video commemorating Reynolds' decades-long career in Hollywood. Reynolds died just weeks before he was scheduled to begin shooting a role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which starred Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio and went on to be nominated for several Oscars.
Are you sure you weren't thinking of the movie Once Upon a Time in China, starring Jet Li and Maggie Cheung?
He was offered a role in it, though.
And he wasn't in it?
It was like a big miss.
I always wanted to see the bandit do wire fu.
Think of the bloopers out of that one.
yeah, that would be a hell of a blooper reel.
Oddly, the article, which goes on quite a while about Reynolds' life and career, never actually answers the question of why it took more than 2 years for his cremated remains to get buried. I looked into this quite a bit on the internet, so if anybody knows the answer to this, email me at internationalnewspod@gmail.com, because I can't figure out why it took 2 years, and that seemed to be the point of the article.
Well, if it's anything like I read in the Enquirer, it's probably because old Lonnie Anderson wouldn't let it. She got him in the divorce.
Just to spite his family. Spite his family. Wouldn't turn him loose.
I'm still mad. I'm on Team Burt, and I was from the very beginning. And listen, I was a big WKRP fan.
Yeah.
But I am Team Burt all the way. You know, he dated Dinah Shore for a while. Big age difference. She was a lot older than him, and that's when he won over America. Oh. And one more little bit of trivia about the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is that it was used to masturbate by Quentin Tarantino to those shots of the dirty, dirty feet. The dirty feet. Those dirty feet pressed up against that glass on that car. And then the dirty feet that are just sitting there in that movie theater. And then she probably took her feet down and got them all sticky on that movie theater floor. I don't know if any of that's keepable, but I tell you what, that was a good movie.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, on that note, I think that wraps up another international news service.
Can you rephrase that on that sexy note?
On that, I'm sorry. On that sexy note, that wraps up another international news service. Feel free to email us at internationalnewspod@gmail.com if you see any news stories we might be interested in covering in future episodes.
Is that the traditional spelling of International News Pod?
Yeah. Some people would pronounce it international news pod, but the accepted pronunciation is international.
No H.
Well, you know, people in Barcelona, for example.
Oh, that's good. That's really sticking to the Spanish. Anyway, what's that email address one more time, Kevin? I feel like some people might have missed it.
internationalnewspod@gmail.com.
I talked over you. Say it again.
Well,
sorry.
wait, Mark's recording us on separate audio tracks.
But he'll
want
to keep it true to how it actually happened, so I know that he'll have my audio
mutes you
over
for most
yours.
of these episodes. Actually.
I've figured that out. It's very clear that I've been almost entirely excised from the program.
It does fall in line with the thing that I've been hearing is that conservative voices are being silent.
I don't know that I like playing the role of the conservative voice guy.
Well, you're the only one who listens to Rush Limbaugh.
No. I think you guys knew a lot more about Rush
Limbaugh.
Bow.
He does look like it would be pronounced Limbaugh.
With his jowls just shaking around,
his
clapping up against his chin.
Yeah, just his lymph nodes are constantly getting hit by meat when he talks.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I feel pretty comfortable saying whatever I want in this because I know that 95% of it won't be in the end. That's okay. That's okay.
Thank you for listening to the International News Service. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. INS, the news you need.